Hey guys, welcome to the MC Anime Podcast. We cover anime, geek culture, Japanese aesthetics, and Asian studies. We are a multi-fandom podcast, and you can expect to hear topics in your favorite hobby or fandom activity potentially. You can find MC Anime on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Also, please check out mcanimepodcast.com, our website. Furthermore, stay tuned in for another episode.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of MC Anime, MC here, and today's particular episode that we are discussing is the anime Big Three and the legacy of the Big Three. For anyone that doesn't know what the Big Three anime are, at one point they were considered to be the very pinnacle of Shonen Jump and how Shonen Jump magazine came to be in the spotlight. Notable, these shows were One Piece, Naruto, and Bleach. Yes, there's some arguments that Bleach was beaten, Naruto was beaten in top sales, yada yada yada. But generally saying, the consensus of the anime community, a lot of people referred to as One Piece, Naruto, and Bleach as the Big Three. A particular reason why I'm doing this episode, One Piece is coming to an end, so I think it's finally a good piece to talk about the Big Three and the legacy that each one has presented to the anime community, since Naruto has actually officially ended, and Naruto is continued with Boruto, but Boruto is Boruto, not Naruto. Naruto already had his moments in Shippuden and Naruto. So it's really a continuation, maybe Naruto as Hokage, but Naruto as Hokage, he's already achieved what he wanted, which the series was aiming for anyway. But anyway, One Piece with the Wano arc is coming to an end. You know, Kaido versus Luffy. All this other stuff is coming to fruition. Now, before I get into specific things with Bleach, Naruto, and One Piece, and the legacy, there will be spoilers in this particular podcast about the Big Three, One Piece, Naruto, and Bleach. So just be aware of that, because as I talk about the legacy, I'm also going to talk about the ending and how they are ending as well. So it's going to have major spoilers for the ending, and it's also going to have spoilers for plot in the middle and beginning. So you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt. This is why I'm saying this is going to be spoiling content, because each show deserves its own talking point. So, let's talk about, I believe, Naruto. Naruto ended before Bleach. So, and it's ironically in the timeline, Naruto is what we're talking about. Naruto, there was two different variations of Naruto. They were still the same in the branding. We have the original Naruto series, which was really young Naruto, to Naruto Shippuden. Naruto Shippuden continues after with the Akatsuki and the Fifth Great Ninja War and all this other stuff. Well, Naruto began with Naruto growing from the village, Naruto being a Genin, Naruto being on Team 7, and the brief introduction of the Akatsuki. So, let's talk about Naruto. What were the moments in Naruto that were very special, very highlighted? Well, I'm a bigger fan of Naruto than Naruto Shippuden. My reason for this that Naruto really felt light-spirited. It didn't have, like, super heavy moments like Naruto Shippuden did. It had a lot of humor. It provided good enriching details for the audience. You grew up with the hatred of the village. You had all the different levels of the village. Naruto's perseverance, dream to be Hokage. The troubled kid getting all the attention, acting out to get the attention, really trying to find who he is. I think it did a really good job of doing that. As we also we see Naruto and Uzumaki basically grow up, work as a team, be part of Team 7, have different mentors with Kakashi, the Toad Sage, Sanjin, and all that stuff. Jiraiya, his, later influence being those, and then, of course, his, the academy, and then growing up with it and all that stuff. So it really goes to show you that, Naruto gained the surrealness to it, I guess, is what I can call it. It grew on people. It had that level that really didn't expect, and overall provided good details that people can relate to. Also, Naruto started, he wouldn't be on Team 7 without, unfortunately learning the forbidden technique of the shadow clones. And to Naruto's surprise, he could make 100 shadow clones. And that was his specialty. See, 100 shadow clones, that might sound not enough. A lot of people have only make like maybe 3 to 5 shadow clones at once. Naruto, he has a lot of chakra reserves. Chakra is the power system that they use for ninjutsu and jinjutsu and taijutsu. Mostly ninjutsu and ninjutsu. Because what these techniques are relying on is the chakra network and the different releases that you do with it. Naruto, he has a wind-based chakra reserve. And even though his is wind solely, it took a long time to figure out what he wanted to do with it. Because now he also has Rasengan, which is change of chakra nature, and the Rasen Shuriken, which is not only a change in formation, but change in wind release and all this other stuff. So you really see Naruto training in this reserve, all to the alludence of the fox that's sealed within him as a Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. Kurama, the Nine-Tails Biju, is a deity that's very destructive, very hated, and it's just very, over the centuries, a pain to deal with. Tail beasts are an entity in Naruto that they're just a huge chakra reserves, and they're just spirit monsters that wreak havoc. The only way to actually secure them and actually tame them a bit is a Jinchuriki. Jinchuriki the Biju gets sealed inside them within a sealing technique, and the deities inside them. But the Jinchuriki chakra from the tail beast can leak out and have like different what we call tail modes. And throughout Naruto, you actually see lots of the tail modes, like the 1 tail, 2 tails, 3 tails, up to the 5 tails a lot of times. When you start boiling the blood and all this other stuff, because those forms of outer anger. And when you use power and misuse it in that way, it has negative effects. If Naruto went truly berserk, then the main problem that we will have would actually be the Jinchuriki dying as a result of it. Because they're not properly using the tail beast in a symbolic relationship. It's really the tail beast using the anger to get out to take control in a way, because it's in their nature to maybe not seek havoc, but use anger as a way to release the bonds that hold them inside the body of the Jinchuriki. They want to get out. They don't want to be there. They're in a prison in a person. So when they're sealed away, they want to try anything to get away from it. So they use anger in the Jinchuriki as a way to do that. So you also have to keep in mind that in the original Naruto series, Naruto has to learn not to only overcome the fox, because him and the fox don't get along. He has to start bonding with Kuma in a later date, which is Shippuden. Shippuden, he has to bond with the fox and actually have the nine tails fox cloak mode and all that stuff. Because power scaring of him at this time, he doesn't know much. So his shadow clones was a specialty. Releasing the red cloak of the nine tails fox, which is just blood boils, and he produces fangs, and he becomes a berserker. He has no control because he's angry. And then he also has the Rasengan during this time period. He learns to perfect it and gets it better and all this other stuff. But there's not much in Naruto's arsenal in Naruto. It's more like a building block, what is to become in Naruto Shippuden, when his arsenal becomes a lot more versatile and actually more accepting. So that's Naruto in a nutshell. Naruto Shippuden, we see a really different side of Naruto. We see, the legacy of Shippuden is pretty straightforward. We see him grow up. We see him mature. He's not the kid that he used to be. Yes, he's spontaneous and erratic person he was before, but now he's also pursuing Sasuke, because you also have Sasuke at the end of Naruto for a long time being missing to Orochimaru and the curse mark. So there's a lot of development on Naruto not giving up on his former teammate, and having Sai come into play and actually being not so good in that transition. Because Sai is not really... He's a spy for the Danzo, which is the underground Ambu organization, which lurks in the shadows, but they do like convert missions and stuff. But yeah, Sai is a spy for Danzo, which is connected to that underground network that protects the leaf behind the scenes, kind of thing. So yeah, they know his true intentions. They know that with the fake demeanor that he's sarcastic and gets on the nose, but he also had to pursue Sasuke. You know, you see the different plot points that Sasuke's involved with. Because it takes a lot. He becomes a rogue ninja during this time. And you really see the struggle to get him back. I mean, you see it in Naruto, but you also see Sasuke defeat Naruto and get away. So, when you really look at it continues off where it left before. To find Sasuke, bring him back, and it fails. And this is where it starts the entire plot up to the First Great Shinobi War with the Akatsuki, Madara, the Ten Tails, and eventually Obito, and then Kagura, and then Zetsu as well, like Black Zetsu taking over and controlling Madara to do the the Rasengan. Not the Rasengan, the visual eye jutsu. Yeah, Rasengan. The visual jutsu, you summon, the 5 lives, you summon a life, reincarnate it, and give Madara an actual body, which Obito did, and then they become the Ten Tails Jinchuriki and all this other stuff. But, from that transition, Sasuke is put in the back burner when the Akatsuki shakes become more of a threat. Because the entire time of Naruto to the end, to the beginning of Shippuden, the Akatsuki are on a journey to take all 9 tail beasts, put into the Gedo statue, and actually turn them into the 10 tails. Because at one point, the 10 tails was just wreaking havoc from the Ohatsuki clan, coming from like the spoon or the space, I think. But having all these, basically starting the entire Naruto universe with the, starting the entire Naruto universe in chakra, taijutsu, and ninjutsu, jinjutsu, all of that stuff. Because during this point, we go back to Naruto during the First Great Ninja War. 8 of the 9 tailed beasts were sailed away, and basically would do wood release, which is Ashurama, and there was peace negotiations to give each village during that time a tailed beast, since tailed beasts were seen as negotiation chips to give to villages for a source of power. Because a tailed beast is very powerful. So when each village or some villages got one, it's kind of like alluring to the fact that what each village wanted in the peace negotiations, which didn't last long because the Second Ninja War, but that's besides the point. The tailed beast was very vital in the Naruto plot and gives to the great legacy because it's who Naruto is. He's a Ten Tails Jinchuriki, at least half of Kurama. The other half of Kurama comes later in the reincarnation of Mento, saving Naruto's life when the 9 Tails Jinchuriki is extracted from him. So he dips his half into him to save his life. That's just like a blood transfusion, but like, I don't know. But anyway, Naruto, his final form, he gains like the 6 paths. He gains the trusting of Kurama, the Nine Tails cloak, Sage mode. He trains with Jiraiya to achieve, being a Sanjin of Toad Sage, and learning how to control Sage mode, which is chakra from natural chakra. You absorb it and then you use its power, and you have like dilated eyes as orange. And then toad summoning happens, so you can get like a different toads to do different things like sailing jutsus and Oroboko, and Mount Oroboko is what it's called. So then you also have the legacy of Jiraiya dying. So it kind of goes into play there. So you need to keep in mind that Jiraiya dies, Pain has to be fought, which Naruto defeats Pain. Pain defeated Jiraiya. So, the entire village is attacked by Pain. We see the different 8 Tails mode, I think, from Naruto, because he just becomes furious. And we really see a lot of growth. Even though he learned how to perfect stage mode, he wasn't good. He still didn't have the Nine Tails cloak that he had, so the fight versus Pain was very limited, but he still was able to do it. And also we see a lot of utilization of the clones of the, learning how to use the Rasengan, Rasen Shuriken, having Sage moves at Mount Buku, and then summon them and then use their chakra that they were reserving. There's a lot of coordinated attacks that Naruto uses with the clones. So he uses the clones to his advantage. Decoy, underground, distract the enemy, tire out the enemy, etc., etc. And then we get into 6 paths. He has all the different Genkai Genchai and Koramora releases, the true orbs, the orthopath, all that other stuff. Sasuke has similar stuff too. I think the most powerful form that we have seen thus far in the Naruto universe, not Naruto Shippuden, is Byakugan Naruto. When Kurama gives up everything, but he achieves total power and for a limited amount of time. It comes with the risk of losing Kurama, but it gives Naruto so much that the chakra actually burns the opponent and all this other stuff. Now, this is another fight with Inosuke, which was the partner that Kagura tried to kill off all the way back when she came to the Naruto universe. But Byakugan Naruto is probably more like one of the pinnacle of his power level. So the legacy of Naruto is to take from this. You have a coming to age story, want to become a Hokage, fight all the way to the Akatsuki, defeat the Suzuki of aka Kagura, and then becomes the Hokage, marries Hinata, because that love arc kind of blossoms, and he didn't realize until Pain that Hinata was maybe the one for him, because Hinata always had a crush on him, even in early Naruto. It's really weird that he didn't do it like that and approach her sooner, but that's plot development. But strategically speaking, Naruto becomes a Hokage. He starts a family, and this is where Boruto generation Boruto, the Naruto Next Generations come into play. Aratsuki's still a threat. They still coming back. But we get more into the lore of Aratsuki, like more than what Naruto explored. So we get that. And we get a lot, like, I think what? Like at least 4 to 5 more Aratsuki members. Kind of crazy. Sasuke is the leader, takes the place of Danzo, protector in the shadows. So Sasuke gives Naruto the Hokage, even though Sasuke is actually more powerful than Naruto. That's been proven. But it's always been his dream to be Hokage, so he has it achieved. And that's kind of the end of Naruto kind of thing. Yes, Naruto is still a continuation in Boruto, but the legacy of the dream being met is there. Naruto fulfills his dream. He's the Hokage. He starts a family. He doesn't settle down because he's still fighting Aratsuki, but there's a lot of substance there. He's like 30 years old now, and that's kind of where the story lets off. And that's the legacy behind Naruto. So that's Naruto. The next one we're going to discuss is Bleach. Oh boy. Because Bleach is really different. I think Bleach, I'm going to talk. Since Bleach was all one continuous anime, I'm going to talk about the different arcs with Bleach and the character development that happened with Ichigo Kurosaki. So, the legacy of Ichigo. Well, Ichigo is a half Soul Reaper, half human. He's also a he's like, his mother was half Quincy and half human. His mom was Quincy and his dad was Soul Reaper. So she's half human, half Quincy, and then dad is Shinigami. So he's like half Shinigami, a quarter human, and a quarter Quincy. So that's kind of where his power comes from. Quincy we don't see until like later into the 1,000-year arc about Quincy. So keep that in mind. We only see the Shinigami side come out. So let's see. When we first introduced to Bleach, we have a battle of high spiritual pressure. Because of Ichigo's family heritage and blood, he has a very high spiritual pressure. And what is spiritual pressure? Well, spiritual pressure in this specific situation is the spiritual energy that the person possesses in the body. So almost every being in Bleach has some sort of spiritual pressure to perform tasks like Shinigami, power-related attacks, special abilities that you fight with. So it really goes down to, race, what you do with those powers, and all that other stuff. Because in Bleach, there's different races, like Quincy is a special type of human that uses reishi and convert it into energy, and when they hit, wrong cause, the Grim creatures of dark. The soul eaters, which is the antagonist anyway, they destroy their soul. Soul Reapers uses Reishi to purify souls. So that's kind of the difference of Quincy and Soul Society. You see that in the show, the hatred and all that other stuff. And Quincy almost being wiped out, yada, yada, yada. Then we have like the meta-humans, which is like, not the meta-humans. We have the Bounce. We have, which use Reishi to summon dolls. We also have the people that uses objects, and that object uses Reishi, the spiritual pressure, to release the object. We have a couple more. We have Alankars. There's a couple of them that you need to be aware about, but you see all the different races and the supernatural being like super heavy. We are introduced. The Soul Society arc is where Kuchi, he wants to go into the Soul Society arc. He goes to the army and overall wants to do things to get, what's her name? So, basic history. We have the substitute, aka agent of Shinigami, where Ichigo meets another Soul Reaper. She gives powers to him. She can't defeat the Hollow. Yeah, Hollows, the Soul Eaters that eat human souls, that tainted human souls have become. Because Lost Souls is kind of what Bleach deals with. So we had the substitute agent of Shinigami, where he's in the human world for a little bit. He gets trained how to use Shinigami powers, but he doesn't truly awaken Shinigami powers, because technically the person who awakened his powers kind of gave her own powers to Ichigo, and Ichigo was a substitute Shinigami because of it. But he loses those powers. They cut off his connection. So he has to, in the Soul Society arc, build up his own Ichigo powers. So he gets training to go to the Soul Society. He succeeds in capturing himself to be a Shinigami. So now he has his own powers with his own sword. It just went, yeah. Then we had the Bounce Assault. Bounce is like vampires in the Soul Society. They're a forgotten race of humans that were experimented on with Reishi, and they kind of live very long time. However, this is because of an explosion in Soul Society where all the souls were tainted but had like a similar power to Shinigami, except they summon dolls and they suck human souls for substance and nutrition to stay alive. But usually Bounce during this time were using dead souls, so it wasn't a big deal. They knew about them. They were, declassified and all that stuff. But generally speaking, they didn't really wreak havoc on the living souls. They were feeding on dead souls. So dead souls were not as seen. They were not as seen as treacherous as living souls. But when they start doing living souls, they got a lot more power. Because Balance, when they feed on more living souls directly in it, they have these mosquito-like dolls that just feed on every soul possible. They want to go back to the Soul Society because they were always denied that chance to be accepted. The Soul Society rejected them, and that's why they went on this assault. And Ichigo's caught in the middle of it because he's in Kagawa Town, and this is where it all happens. And Soul Society gets involved, and they get into the fight before they get to the portal to go in there. But, it's a filler. This is after the rescue art in the Soul Society, because she was going to be executed, the Shinigami that gave Ichigo's power. And, as a result, Aizen was the one manipulating everybody at the end, so he goes into the fifth year plane in Heko Mundo, and he has 2 followers with him, 2 different other captains. Yeah, a lot happened in Soul Society arc. It was a building point for the story. Bound Assault, not bad. It explores more of, if the Soul Society would be rejected, all this other stuff. So, here we go into the Arrancar arrival scenario. So, Aizen's now filling up a plan to basically do an invasion of Kagawa Town, capture the Soul King, and all this other stuff. And Ichigo is there when the first Arrancars come on the scene. These hollows become more advanced to become fighting like Shinigami. And they get into these different levels. They have Zanpakuto, like sword releases, which is just releasing their true form, to be honest. So we get into that more, and then Ichigo gets meet with another hollow that took his mom's life, and kind of that's a big story. I think Grand Fisher is now like an Arrancar level hollow. And he has a giant sword, and he's even more powerful than he was before, and he can talk now. Because a lot of times hollows have this sentience of ranking within Heko Mundo that, Arrancar is like the top level you can be. So, and then when you get to the Heko Mundo invasion, Itsumi is abducted. Ichigo has to do a rescue party into Heko Mundo to rescue her. Aizen notices her special ability of healing, and it bends the reality. Basically, like, goes back into time to previously when you're not hurt. So that's really great power that he takes notice of. And then during this time, Aizen forces go back into the invasion part with the fierce fight in the real time for Kagawa Town, and how much souls you can get with it. Because Kagawa Town lies on the border of a great, what's it called? Pinnacle to the Soul King. So if you capture Kagawa Town, you have the catalyst to break the dimension plane of the Soul King, and that's what Aizen was going after. So you kind of see his form progress because he has the training from Soul Society. He has the substitute. He doesn't really do much of the substitute, but Soul Society arc, you kind of see him do the training as a Shinigami. And then also with Heko Mundo, we also we see glimpses of the Hollow Mask, which is Ichigo with that form, and he comes berserk because he also has an inner hollow inside him because of I think of the hollow that attacked his mom, kind of thing. So it still was. It's in his body. He's under hollowification. So we have that, and then he fights that. He comes into the hollow, rescues Hinigami, and then we have the new captain, Shusuke Magi, which is pretty straightforward. And then we also have the Rancor versus the Shinigami. We have the 100 Years Back battle in Kagura. Then we have the 13 guard squads of the incursion, the Gote invading army. We have the Lost Agent and the 1,000-Year Arc. You know, it's kind of interesting how we see Ichigo kind of take his stakes and be the anti-hero of the thing. He's rogue Shinigami, but Soul Society lets him run rampant because of the fact that there's been other substitute Shinigami in the past that served Soul Society really well and have done really well in that aspect, kind of thing. You know, Rancor, we got the Visceral, the Shinigami with hollow powers. Aizen's betrayal continues. You know, we attack the human world. Orihime has to be rescued. We see the different levels of him dealing with being a wizard and hollowification powers. So we really see that being at the end of it. Then Soul Society is the Snake entry arc and then the rescue arc. So Katsuchi has to be rescued. And then we go into new captain Shusuke Yamako. It's a avant-garde to introduce Shatsu, which faces Gin, who sides with the Aizen's faction. We kind of see the backstory of how Shatsuki Anamagi in the human world gets banned because of the beginning portrayals of Aizen during this time. So we see a backstory, the Wizard, the 100 Years Back. Then we go back to the battle in Kagura. It's kind of interesting because you see a lot of history with it. And then we have the alternate tale of rebellion. Zanpakuto spirits rebel, and it's up to Ichigo to stop them. Ichigo has to battle his own Zanpakuto and ultimately have to use his hollowification powers to do it and all this other stuff. But we have a Rancor, we have a time skip. Ichigo gives up ultimate power. He gives up ultimate power to defeat Aizen as a result of his Shinigami powers. And then we also have the inclusion, the invading army arc, which is, I think, just another filler. The lost substitute Shinigami, struggling to recover his powers. He's still feeling like he's left. Kujo Ginjo. You know, Rukia was the one that gives him the powers in the first one. During this time is the Fullbringer arc. So Ichigo learns how to be a Fullbringer, and then he actually still has his Shinigami powers. So when the anime returns, should be too much filler, yada yada yada. Quincy'll back. They venerate a hidden, invisible empire, declares war on the Soul Society, plenty of fights and battles. Basically, we see Ichigo take on his true power during this time. His Quincy side, Holification side, and Shinigami side all coming together in one final form during the Great Quincy, the 1,000-Year War. So we see more of the Quincy's now taking part of Soul Society and how they're different in ideological ideas battling it out for supremacy. And the Soul King being, once again, being the root of the problem. Soul King is a dimension that holds all realities together, and without him there, it messes up everything. So, with one final note, Ichigo's legacy is he sets his own path. His final form is very powerful. He had like the different Holification, the Hollow Mass, the Shinigami. His Bankai release is another one that you have to keep an idea for. He becomes angry, he becomes a hollow, and once you become a hollow, it's really hard to revert that process back, but he gets it done anyway. So yeah, the 1,000-Year arc is kind of him controlling everything and being able to do what he needs to do. So the legacy of Ichigo: never give up, be yourself, fight for what you believe in, and overall combat the obstacles of the supernatural that get in your way along the way to be able to deal with the threats and protect humanity, He embraces what Shinigami becomes, and that's what he fights for. He fights hollows, and then he has to fight Quincy's to protect the order of this quote-unquote status quo. So, you can say Ichigo is an agent of control and an agent of battle, in quote I speak. So, and he's also one of the 5 pillars that hold great power in the 1,000-Year arc. But that's a lot more into the story of that one. But that's how he becomes. And you see along the way his Zanpakuto, learning from the Zanpakuto, the different training he does to know more power-ups. Ichigo is pretty solid in that area. Then we go to One Piece. Monkey D. Luffy. He ate the Gum no fruit, which is mostly the human fruit, but we don't get that until much, much later. So most of the story, we believe that he's a rubber man. He can stretch his body and be immune to bullets and cannons, but weak to blunt objects like swords and stabbing techniques. So he can be cut, but he has immunity to bullets and cannons and some physical attacks that he can absorb. And he's a counter to the Rumble fruit, which is lightning powers. So there is that. So he embraces the properties of rubber, and it's kind of interesting when he uses his powers, because he has like Gear 1. Gear 2 becomes super fast. He starts boosting up his speed. So he becomes he attains the flash step and stuff like that. Which is one of the great powers, the 6 powers that in this lobby use martial art technique. So he does his own. Then we have like Gear 3, he becomes gigantic proportions. And then later he learns hockey. Then he develops hockey with his Gear 4 and Gear 5, stuff like that. So, yeah. One Piece is really interesting because it's longer than Ichigo, than Bleach and Naruto. Unless you want to count Naruto plus Naruto Shippuden plus Boruto. However, it's longer than Naruto Shippuden and Naruto together. Boruto is Boruto. It's separate on its own, so I'm not including it in the list of episodes. It's 1,000+ chapters. It's still ongoing. It's just finished up Wano. And people being super hype about that. But the one thing to understand about Luffy is an agent of fighting. He's an underdog. He's the type of pirate who strives to get the One Piece and achieve the greatest freedom that one pirate can have, which is attaining the One Piece. The One Piece in the anime is Gold D. Roger's greatest triumph and treasure that he found when he reached Raftel at the end of the Grand Line and the New World. Basically, if you achieve One Piece, you would create the greatest title of the Pirate King, and overall, you reach the most freedom you ever will experience. Once you become the Pirate King, everything else is minuscule. Is that powerful of a title? You reach just a high enough in your point in your life that nothing else can surpass it. Since why Gold D. Roger starts the Great Pirate Era to find the One Piece and the treasure that he so rightly found, because he was the pinnacle of the pirates during that time period. So he's legend and infamous. And all different characters have different influence of the Pirate King. Whether it's mentioned or not, they take influence based on the total freedom of the greatest treasure that you can find as a pirate. And the greatest title that no one can take away from you. And also, pirates are a threat to the world government. The world government dates back like 800 years. We have the Void Century that they want to cover up, the Will of D, the ancient weapons, which is Poseidon, Pluto, and Uranus. So we have those to combat. We have Sea Kings, the Combat, Joy Boy, the Poneglyphs, Telling of Raftel, the Great One Piece, the ancient weapons. They just doesn't want all this stuff to happen, and in like different situation and hierarchy that has to be protected, because I think the hierarchy of the world government is the Shokai, the pirate warlords. Then we have the Navy Marines. Then we have the Admirals. Then we have the Grotesei, the Gori, being the 5 influential influences of the world government. Then we have like CPO 0 to the CPO 9, which is the elite behind the scenes, which answer directly to the Holy Land of Marijwa, which the nobles, the celestial dragons, live. Celestial dragons during this time are nobility so great that they were in the original founding of the world government that challenged the ancient government during the time of the Void Century. And the government, at any cost, will preserve its rightful claim and prestige, and anything of the Void Century is erased from history, except for the poneglyphs. That's why they said that the study of the ancient language and poneglyphs is forbidden. That's why Nico Robin's island was wiped off with a buster call. So there is that. And then the power level of pirates, we have the worst generation, which includes Luffy, Law, Zoro, Kid, Killer, and all these other people that, just in a long time, all these big names are all young, so they're called the worst generation. And then we get into the pirate warlords, of course. And then we get into the Yonkos, Emperors of the Sea, pirate emperors. These include Whitebeard, at one point. The original Yonkos was Shanks, Red-Haired Shanks, Kaido, Big Mom pirates, and Whitebeard pirates. And then Blackbeard becomes a Yonko himself. Luffy is quote-unquote a Yonko in itself. I think because of misinformation, and they want to level up him as a threat more, so by giving him the fake title of Yonko kind of gives him more position, because Luffy is an ancient of the people. He frees anyone he wants. He goes against the world government, what they stand for. He's a rogue agent, basically. He don't care. He goes against Crocodile, which is a corrupted warlord. Against Joker, which AKA is Don Flamingo, taking the entire underground enterprise with him. Gecko Moria. The villains that Luffy faces are really bound by their philosophy, their overall agenda, their evil deeds. The world government has to accept it, because being who Luffy is, being a change for the worse or a change for the better, and just being a reason for change and morale of pirates in general and people who oppose the world government, he's a threat. Because he has the power. He literally has the power to change someone's mind. He has the power to turn people to his side and rally them behind him and support him from afar. That's the true power of Luffy. That's what he does. And his power level is really interesting because, he has the different level techniques that he uses, which is the Gum Fist and all this other stuff. But his powers are really interesting because no one truly expected this obscure paramecia type devil fruit to be as powerful as it is. The powers of rubber and being able to stretch, Luffy is really creative with how he uses his powers. He forms the Straw Hat Pirates, which is his affiliation. But he also has the Ninja Pirate Mink Samurai Alliance. He forms this alliance and during Punk Hazard to combat he combats what Joker and Kaido were doing with the artificial devil fruits. And then the pirate side of the alliance actually become more in Dressrosa when all these different pirates were being imprisoned by Joker and being able to fight. So the pirate alliance comes from them, plus Law during this time. The ninjas were the Katsuki family, who were overthrown by the shogun and the rightful heir to actually what Wano was. And then the Minks had a lot of eyeliner potential with the Katsuki family anyway, so it made sense for them to come along as well. Then we have like the Donna family, Impel Down. He's a pirate, captain, prisoner, and a bandit. He used to be a bandit. He's from the East Blue, Phoenicia Village. That's pretty much that. So, alright. It's, okay, so physical abilities. Despite being small physical stature, he has significant physical strength to match him. Unorthodox training methods to make him stronger, leave him alone in the wilderness, make him to fight monkeys, trying him to do the baboons or float away, throw him in a bottomless pit. Rigorous training in extremely harsh environment. Notable example was first when he used his foot to block a stomp, yada yada yada. Then Amazon Lily, and then yeah. So he had utilized his devil fruit gears to tremendously increase his physical strength. So do powerful enemies like Bruno, Waluigi, and Don Flamingo. Giant Squad with a single gear 3 punch. Let's see. He has like gear 2, he becomes super fast. And, faster and high punch jet pistol and stuff like that. Gear 3 becomes a giant. Gear 4, he becomes the bounce man. So we see that. Because then he's able to use different levels of hockey, and he basically bounces everywhere for high progression, and it's just a very extreme form of hockey imbued with his rubber body. Let's see. Gear 5. Transformation from the Awakening. Yeah. So that's Gear 4. Then we see Gear 5 with the transformation from the Awakening of the Gummo no Fruit, which is the human fruit monkey combination. So final battle with Kaido on Skull Rooftop. The Awakening of the Gummo no Fruit becomes the Hita no Mi Model Nika. Grants the Yuba rubber-like body increased physical strength and freedom, limited only by the user's imagination. It's for this reason that the user is said to become the warrior of liberation, fight however they please, and bring joy to those around them, making the most ridiculous power in the world. So, when Luffy awakens his devil fruit to the Hita no Mi, the Nika model, he becomes a warrior of liberation. This is what the world government has don't want him to do. Heartbeat takes on musical rhythm, which is described as the drums of liberation. His turn white. His eyes glow with the white ring-like pupils. White clouds form around his neck. Of steam that accompanied Gear 4. The amount of hockey released from this form was enough that it could be felt all the way to the live floor in the swallowed dome, knocking multiple beasts out of the process. He's a mythical Zoan nature of the new form. He's already rubber body gains strength, freedom, and durability. That's the best way he could for his previous forms. Something out of the picture book. So, yeah. He basically has, like, I don't know, cartoon-like powers to bend reality and whatever imagination he has in the battlefield, he can make it happen because that's what his battlefield can do. So he's become a Paramecia type to the true form, which is actually the mythical zone. The government hides this ability of him, and as a result, they didn't. That's why when Red Hair Shanks took this fruit from the world government, the CPO-0 agent that was on that ship was basically marked as a traitor, put in and impelled down because of his failure 2 years ago with Luffy, so many years back. So when Red Hair Shanks took it and Luffy ate the fruit as a child, the fruit had great meaning, and people for a long time wondering. Red Hair Shanks knew that fruit was highly valuable, so it's safe to assume that it was important to the world government, and they knew it had value, but no one truly knew that it was the Nika model fruit. So by the government changing the name, basically eliminating the fact that this fruit is so much more dangerous to humanity and to the world government for what the world government stands for, because guess what? Luffy has a special power to bring in allies. As a warrior of liberation, he liberates the slaves, he liberates the people who feel oppressed, and totally shake up the entire system of the world government. Luffy is the pinnacle of what the world government stands against. So that's kind of what Luffy's legacy is. He'll be forever known as the warrior of liberation, standing against the world government and overall achieve total freedom of the One Piece. So, in conclusion, to Naruto greatest form, Bleach's final form, and Gear 5 for Luffy, safe to assume, Baron Kurama is pretty powerful, but it comes with the loss of Kurama. Ichigo's greatest form is his Soul Reaper, Hollow, and Quincy powers all together. And that transformation was like a half horn kind of thing. And being a pillar in his greatest form, what he's known for is a pillar of change and that he's destined for. Luffy is Gear 5 with his awakening form of the Nika model, Hikonomi, and the Warrior of Liberation. So Luffy will achieve One Piece one day, but until then, he has to find it. Naruto already became Hokage, and Ichigo has protected everything he knows to protect, which is family and friends, and overall a liberator, an agent for war. So these are the legacies of the Big Three, and how the Big Three shaped the anime world. These series have been running for so long that they're very synonymous with the anime community about people knowing the Big Three, or knowing that at one point you had to know these Big Three. If you didn't know it, you were like shunned by the anime community. But that's not the case anymore. You don't have to know these Big Three to hold conversation with people. Now, the Big Three, being Naruto, One Piece, and Bleach, kind of holds on to the fact that people at one point hold these three anime to such high regard because of the very popularity at the time, the influx of characters, the long for standing history at Shonen Jump. Yes, because these were so long in publication and syndication, so longly syndicated, that these have very immense stories that they can tell within the writing and manga drawing for Shonen Jump magazine. So that's another reason why they were called the Big Three, because there was just so long of the Shonen Jump franchise publication at this time. So keep a note, as you know, even though I discussed what the legacy is and the different characters I did within each one, I really jumped into what Naruto was before, with Naruto and Naruto Shippuden, Bleach overall throughout, Ichigo Kurasaki's journey, and overall Monkey D. Luffy's journey of being, this great powerful being at the great near stage of death, achieving great power. So I would rank Boyan Naruto first, then the final form of Ichigo with the Quincy, Soul Reaper, and Hollowification form, and then Luffy with Gear 5 and the awakening form of his Nika fruit. That's how I would rank them by power. But the overall legacy of each one is known for different things. We have the ninja who wouldn't become the great Hokage. We have the Soul Reaper who would protect his friends at all costs, and overall the natural order of the supernatural. Protector of, literally a protective figure. And Luffy, Monkey D. Luffy, being the outlier of pirates and fight for what he stands for against all odds, and be the warrior for liberation to unite people in similar ways to who are being oppressed. So Luffy fights the oppressors, Ichigo fights the balance of the supernatural, Naruto fights for his friends and for the village of the Hen of the Grass and Hokage title. So these are the roles of Monkey D. Luffy, Ichigo Kurosaki, and Naruto Uzumaki. So I hope that you like this particular episode of the Big Three and the legacy and the ending of the Big Three. I thoroughly enjoyed discussing these three anime, the legacy and the power forms of each character. Keep in mind that you should like any anime you want. Just because people say the Big Three, you don't necessarily have to like the Big Three. They're just the Big Three are very notable for being so longly published in Shonen Jump. That's basically what it's synonymous for. Do not forget to subscribe to NC Anime Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio. Be part of the blog MC Anime on Patreon, the MC Animator community, signing up to post early episode, possible Discord benefits, vote in polls, Patreon messages, and overall possible guest appearances on the podcast or ideas for podcast episodes. Thank you so much. This was a very fun conversation. Hope you guys totally enjoy it. Over and out. And it was a very great success to talk about this topic.
This concludes another episode of MC Anime Podcast. MC Anime Podcast is available on podcast directories like Google Podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. We also have our website at mcanimepodcast.com. If you want to directly support us, then follow Patreon blog MC Anime. Finally, if you want services for hire, then we're available on Fiverr for audio and video production, graphic design, idea consulting, and blog and article writing.